I woke up early in the morning. The sun was coming through my window, and I could hear birds singing. I did not want to get out of bed, but I had to. I had school today. I sat up slowly and looked around my small room. My books were on the floor. My clothes were on the chair. I smiled. This was my normal day. I stood up, stretched my arms, and walked to the bathroom. I washed my face with cold water. It made me feel more awake. I looked in the mirror and saw my sleepy face. My hair was messy, and my eyes were still half closed. I laughed at myself. I brushed my teeth, took a quick shower, and wore my school uniform. I walked to the kitchen. My mom was cooking breakfast. She smiled and said, "Good morning, my son." I said, "Good morning, Mom," and sat down. The smell of eggs and toast made me hungry. My little sister came in. She was still half asleep. She sat next to me and yawned. My mom put food on our plates. I ate fast because I didn't want to be late. After eating, I put on my shoes, grabbed my bag, and said goodbye to my family. I walked to the bus stop. Many students were already there. Some were talking. Some were looking at their phones. The bus came after 5 minutes. I got on and sat near the window. I liked watching the road. Trees, shops, and people passed by so fast. I liked to guess where they were going. Maybe the man with the suitcase was going to work. Maybe the woman with the baby was going to the doctor. I thought many things like this until we reached school. I got off the bus and walked into the school building. It was loud and everyone was talking. I walked to my class. My best friend, Raju, was waiting for me. He said, "You are late again." I smiled and said, "Only by 1 minute." We both laughed. The teacher came in, and we all sat down. Today, we had English, math, science, and history. English was my favorite. I liked reading stories and learning new words. The teacher gave us a story to read and asked us to write what we understood. I wrote about the main character, his problem, and how he solved it. After that, we had math. I didn't like math much, but I tried. The teacher was nice and helped us when we made mistakes. Then we had lunch. I sat with Raju and 2 other friends. We shared our food. I had rice and vegetables. Raju had sandwiches. We laughed and talked while eating. After lunch, we had 2 more classes. I was feeling sleepy in the last one. My eyes were closing, but I tried to stay awake. Finally, the bell rang. School was over. I said goodbye to my friends and walked to the bus. On the way home, I thought about my homework. I had to finish a science project. I was going to make a model of the solar system. I liked planets. I already had some plastic balls at home. I would paint them and make a nice model. When I got home, my mom was cleaning the living room. She asked me how school was. I told her everything. She smiled and said, "That's good." I went to my room and started my homework. First, I wrote a few answers in my notebook. Then, I started the science project. I took the balls and some paint. I painted each ball like a planet. Blue and green for Earth. Red for Mars. Yellow for the sun. It was fun. I forgot about the time. My mom called me for dinner. I washed my hands and went to the table. My dad was home. He asked about my project. I showed him my painted planets. He said it looked great. After dinner, I cleaned my desk and packed my bag for the next day. I read a little bit from a book before sleeping. It was about a boy who wanted to fly. I like stories like that. They made me dream big. I closed my book, turned off the light, and went to sleep. The next day was Saturday. No school. I woke up a bit late. I had a nice breakfast and watched cartoons with my sister. Then I went outside to play. Many kids were already playing in the park. We played football for an hour. It was so much fun. I was tired and sweating. I sat under a tree to rest. Raju came and sat next to me. He said, "Let's get some juice." I said, "Good idea." We walked to the small shop near the park and bought 2 mango juices. They were cold and sweet. We sat on a bench and drank them slowly. We talked about school, games, and dreams. Raju said he wanted to become a pilot. I said I wanted to become a writer. He laughed and said, "You already write stories in English class. You will be a good writer." I smiled. I liked hearing that. We went home after that. In the evening, my uncle came to visit. He brought sweets and a small toy for my sister. He talked with my dad about his job. He worked in another city. I listened quietly. He said life in the city was fast. People were always in a hurry. I asked him if he liked it. He said, "Sometimes, but I miss the peace of this town." My dad nodded. I thought about living in a big city. I wanted to see tall buildings, big malls, and many cars. But I also liked my small town, where people knew each other and the streets were quiet at night. After my uncle left, I went to my room and wrote in my notebook. I wrote about my day, my dream to be a writer, and what I would write about one day. I wrote about simple things, like walking to school, playing in the park, drinking juice with a friend. I felt happy while writing. Writing made me feel calm. It was like talking to a friend who listens but never talks back. The next week, we had a school competition. It was a storytelling contest. When I saw the poster, my heart beat faster. I wanted to join, but I was also scared. What if I forgot my words? What if people laughed? But then I remembered what Raju said. You will be a good writer. I decided to try. I went to the teacher and gave my name. She said, "Good choice. I believe in you." I felt better. That night, I wrote a story. It was about a small bird that wanted to fly high but was afraid of falling. The bird tried again and again. Finally, one day, it flew so high that it touched the clouds. I practiced the story every day. I read it aloud in front of my mirror. I read it to my sister. She clapped and said, "Very good." The day of the contest came. I stood on the stage. My hands were cold. My legs were shaking. But I looked at the teacher. She smiled. I took a deep breath and started speaking. I forgot about the people. I just focused on the story. I told it slowly and clearly. I looked at the audience. They were listening. Some smiled. Some nodded. When I finished, everyone clapped. I felt my face become warm. I smiled wide. After the contest, the teacher came and said, "That was a beautiful story." I thanked her. Later, they announced the results. I got second place. I was so happy. My friends congratulated me. I went home and told my family. My mom hugged me. My dad said, "I'm proud of you." I put the certificate on my wall. Every time I looked at it, I felt strong. From that day, I started writing more. I wrote short stories about animals, kids, dreams, and funny things. I showed them to my teachers. They gave me advice. I made mistakes, but I kept going. I wanted to get better. One day, I will write a book. A real book that people will read. Maybe it will be about a boy like me. A boy who loves stories. A boy who dreams big but starts small. I know the journey is long, but I will walk slowly and never stop. Because I believe if you keep going, you will reach. I started to spend more time with my notebook. Every evening, after homework and dinner, I sat at my desk and wrote. Sometimes I wrote about things I saw, like the cat that always sat on our wall, or the old man who sold balloons near the market. Other times I wrote about things I imagined, like a tree that could talk or a boy who could turn invisible. Writing made me happy. It felt like opening a door to another world where anything was possible. I didn't need money or permission to go there. All I needed was a pen, some paper, and my thoughts. My mom sometimes peeked into my room and smiled when she saw me writing. She once said, "Maybe one day your stories will be in books and people will buy them." That made me feel warm inside. I wanted to believe her. I wanted to believe in myself. One day at school, our English teacher told us about a children's magazine that accepts stories from young writers. She said, "If any of you like to write, you can send your story. If they like it, they will print it." My heart jumped. I wanted to try. That night, I chose my favorite story about the small bird and typed it on my dad's computer. It took me a long time because I was not fast at typing. I checked the spelling and sent it by email with my teacher's help. Every day after that, I checked my inbox. Days passed. Then, after 2 weeks, I saw the reply. My hands shook as I clicked to open it. The message said they liked my story and would publish it in next month's issue. I ran to tell my mom. She hugged me so tightly I almost couldn't breathe. I ran to tell my dad. He laughed and said, "You're a writer now." I couldn't stop smiling. I felt like I was flying. The magazine came in the mail. I opened it and flipped the pages quickly. There it was, my story, my name printed in bold letters below the title. I touched the paper. It felt real, but I still couldn't believe it. I took it to school the next day. My teacher showed it to the class. My friends clapped. Raju gave me a high five and said, "Now you are famous." I laughed. But inside I felt proud, not because of fame, but because I tried and it worked. It gave me more courage. I started to believe that even small dreams can grow if you water them every day. From that day, I promised myself that I would keep writing. Even if no one reads my stories, even if I make mistakes, I would still write. Because writing was not just something I liked. It was something that helped me understand myself better. When I was happy, I wrote. When I was sad, I wrote. My notebook was my friend. It never judged me. It just listened. And slowly, I became better at writing. My words became clearer. My stories became longer. My dreams became stronger. I knew I still had a lot to learn, but I was not afraid. I was excited. I was ready. I was just a small boy with a big dream. But that dream had found a way to shine.